What is the precautionary principle? The precautionary principle is a policy tool that encourages decision makers to pause, review, and evaluate potential consequences when there is a reasonable level of scientific uncertainty, when we may not know all potential outcomes, when there is ambiguity in the data sets or data may be contradictory, or when we do not fully understand all the causal relationships that might exist. But the precautionary principle doesn't work when it is applied to something like mathematical environmental modeling. Why? Well, in modeling, the idea is to define, quantify, visualize, simulate, or predict the behavior of real objects or systems by referencing it to the best available scientific knowledge. Useful models provide us with information about the most likely outcome. To achieve this, variable inputs must be the most likely values. Even small precautionary assumptions can have big impacts on the output of the model, rendering it inaccurate. Precaution is a policy choice that, if used, should only be applied to the outcome of the model generated using the most likely input parameters. This ensures that the underlying science is treated independently from environmental policy decisions. When the precautionary principle is misapplied to complex environmental models, even small conservative assumptions can compound and lead to wildly exaggerated results. In some cases, exposure estimates can become orders of magnitude larger than is realistic. One of the most common areas where this can be seen is in modeling potential exposure or impacts to marine life in offshore seismic surveying, a safe and reliable scientific tool used for oil and gas exploration, carbon capture, utilization, and storage. Understanding and predicting earthquakes and tsunamis, pinpointing sand deposits for coastline renourishment, and selecting appropriate sites for offshore alternative energy projects. According to the U.S. Bureau of Ocean Energy Management, there is no documented scientific evidence of sound from compressed air sources used in seismic surveying adversely affecting marine and animal populations. Protecting the environment is a priority for the seismic industry. Despite the already negligible risks, the industry uses mitigation measures to provide even more protection for marine life. Models used in calculating exposures of marine mammals to seismic sound are complex. Despite the fact that precautionary assumptions have often been built into seismic survey analysis models, leading to overestimation, the results often still meet the United States standards for small numbers and negligible impacts for activities to proceed. Seismic surveys using compressed air sources have been conducted for decades with no evidence of detrimental impacts. So, decision makers must be responsible in how and when they apply the precautionary principle. It is a policy tool, not a scientific one. When applying precaution to modeling, the correct practice is to apply precaution, if a reasonable degree of uncertainty exists, to the results of a model as a policy decision, not to incorporate precaution into the model itself at each step. This ensures the most realistic science is used in decision-making. Learn more about seismic surveying at www.energeoalliance.org.